Welcome, and good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world, whether you're watching or listening on the replay. Love it if you're watching or listening on the replay to type in down below hashtag replay so that we know you're watching on the replay, that we don't forget to circle back if you have questions, etc. So today, I'm going to call this Web 3.0 for us, the average person. Like, what does it mean? When I was researching this, and I've been I put about 40 hours of research into things I wasn't super familiar with, but are a part of this whole new space that we're growing into. And I realized that, like, the lingo is like, yeah, no, like the average person is not going to understand this. So I'm going to call this Web 3.0 for dummies, or I hate to use the word dummies because none of us are dummies, but like for the average person, like, what does that look like for the average person? And put it in language that ultimately we can all understand. So if you are unsure what an NFT is, or what cryptocurrency means to your business, or some common things that we're not doing that are a part of this growth as we grow in the internet space, what does that look like? Yeah, I'm going to be pointing out some common things that we should all be absolutely on top of. So last week we talked with my friend Mitch Jackson. He talked about the metaverse, and that spawned this whole topic, honestly, is where's the future of the internet? And then more specifically, why does it matter to us? Or does it matter to us as business owners? And there are some things I think we can pick and choose from as it relates to, does this matter, or should I step into that space? But there's some things that we're not going to have a choice. In my opinion, there are things that we absolutely need to be aware of and be preparing for. So I'm excited to share this information with you guys. As you guys are coming in, tell me, where in the world are you? And what is the weather like? I'm in Tampa, Florida. It's still chilly here in Tampa. We've been having a little bit of a cold snap. So we've been down, I think we even got down below like freezing the other night, freezing temperature. And highs of like 50. That's cold here. I know it's all relative, but it's a little chilly for us. But on a positive note, I think we're supposed to be back into the 80s by the end of the week. I know I shouldn't be bragging, but so I see Ashley is saying that she's up in Ohio and it's 5 degrees. Okay, so see, I'm whining, but it's colder somewhere else. I get that it's all relative. Quickly, I wanted to introduce myself, and I would love it if you would do the same. Like, especially if you're brand new, you've never been on one of my shows before, you have no clue, maybe even why you're here. My name is Kim Garst. I am an online marketing strategist, which is just a fancy way of saying my passion really is helping people shorten the learning curve to get to the money faster in their business. And if you're new, just use hashtag new, introduce yourself. I see some oldies but goodies. We've got Chuck. Good morning, Chuck. Yeah, 27 degrees. I mean, we've been almost as cold as you guys, which is kind of bizarre. Elliot in Atlanta, clear blue sky in Chile. Yeah, it's been beautiful here, like nice and sunny, but chilly. Allison is saying chilly in Central Oregon, 28. Yes, a little bit chilly there too. Okay, guys. So today it's just me. We're just doing a solo show. Usually I have a guest, but today I'm just going to share really keen in on where the internet is, the journey that we've all been on, potentially. Some of you might have jumped in a little later than some of the rest of us, but the point is there's been a constant evolution of the internet. And then where is it now and where is it going? So let me pull up my screen. And like I say, let me get back up for a hot second here before I pull up my screen. I also want to say that today it's going to be an interactive thing. So I would love it. I do have some questions of you guys as I go along. And then I want you to ask your questions. Now, I'm going to be totally transparent. I don't know all things here. Like, there's some things that I'm still learning myself, like the whole cryptocurrency and NFTs and like all that stuff is still um, a part of my learning curve right now. I'm hoping that I can just at least paint the picture of what it looks like and why it matters, maybe to some of us. But if I don't know the answer to something, then I will find a resource for you or someone that I do know that can answer that question. So don't hesitate to ask your questions. If you know someone that would get some value from this conversation, please sprinkle it out into the world. To use my friend Molly's word, she uses the word sprinkle. That just means hit that S button. If you know again, another way to do that is if you know somebody specifically, tag them, bring them in. We love the love around here. Now, one quick thing before I start into the content. I know I've been going around the tree a couple of times here, but we do giveaways on every one of my show. And today is no different. We're going to be doing I'm going to share a little bit of too much information here. So I've been so busy putting the final touches on today's training for you guys that it was like 9:45, that's 15 minutes, obviously, before the show starts. And I look up and my hair's sticking up everywhere and I don't have any makeup on. And I'm like, oh, crud. So yes, I'm still in the t-shirt I slept in last night. TMI, but I did slap on a little bit of makeup so I didn't scare you. Now, that said, the giveaway for today is we're going to be giving away the one Possibility Maker t-shirt and mug. Sorry, let me go back to the mug. And then we're also giving away a Possibility Maker t-shirt. And if you want to see what that looks like in action, I got it on. And yes, I did sleep on in it. They're super soft and it's one of my favorite things to sleep in. So yes, you get a little bit too much information about my morning and my sleep, what I sleep in as well, I suppose. But anyway, good morning, Jenny. I'm so glad you're here. And Ashley is in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got Della in the house from Phoenix. I'm so glad you guys are here. Thanks. Okay, so that was the prizes. Now let me explain real quick how you win. If you drop in, we call them aha moments. So an aha moment is if I say something that's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, or you knew it, but you needed to hear it again. I think sometimes that's true too. So you have to use the hashtag aha in that area down under, and we will put you into the wheel of wow. We call it draw our winners at the end. So hang in there with us until the end. I know. Okay, deep breath. Now let's get to it. Okay, let me share my screen with you. Oh, wait, hit the wrong button. Life is like that when you're in this. All right, here we go. So now I want to say this is what I call a busy infographic, but it kind of shows the transition from, where we were before the internet to internet just getting started and all the way up. Now, the only reason I'm sharing this, because I'm going to break it down for you, but I wanted you to see that technically we're already in Web 4.0. Okay, that's really the whole point of sharing this particular screen with you, is because we are already, according to the 2000, we're in 2021. So what in the heck is what? And according to this, we're out of Web 3.0, but I don't agree with that. I think we're very much in Web 3.0, and I'm going to break this down for you because I think this is super powerful for you to understand the connotation. So I have a couple questions, as I shared with you before. I'm going to be asking some questions as we go throughout today's training. What year did you get online? So my very first computer was a Macintosh that looked like this. And between the actual computer and like the printer and the stuff that we needed, we spent like close to $10,000, it seems like, if memory serves me. And that was like in our early days of our married life. So it was a lot of money, and it took us a while to pay it off. Probably more longer to to pay it off than it took until I had to have a new one, right? So my question is, what year did you get online? My year was 1991 when my oldest son was born. So that's when I got started. The internet was just getting commercial at that point. And yeah, it was, I had an I go back a ways. So Jean is saying early 90s. I'm just curious because, some of us go back a minute. In fact, if you could go back and say, okay, do you even remember what your first computer was? I definitely remember mine because it was a Macintosh and it was so expensive. So, but the big thing that I want to really highlight here is that the internet, every progression is a building block on the last thing. So I wanted to go through this and share like from where we started with the internet. So Web 1.0 was what I call, or a lot of people call it, it's not just my term, it's access to information. So, or the democratization, that's a fancy word for just saying that word means making something available to everyone. And that's when information became a lot of information. Now, not all, it's because it's across the board now. Can you think of any type of information that you can't find online? Probably not, right? But it started out with like portals like AOL and directories where, link directories where you could go and, try to hunt and peck for information. Yahoo was the big search engine. Google wasn't even around at that point. Craigslist. The users were responsible for their own navigation and the identification of content that was relevant to them. So it was a lot. One, it was like, oh my gosh, all this information is available to us, but it was harder to find the information. Then we had shopping carts. Who remembers being fearful of paying for something online, for putting their credit card information out on the web? I mean, when I first got started, yeah, so I'm seeing some comments like the good old dial-up, right? And um, uh, let's see, my first computer was all DOS. Yes, so many interesting shifts since we're definitely dinosaurs in the space, right? But I can remember when I was doing web design, so many people did not want to accept payment online because they felt like their clients or their customers wouldn't pay them. You wouldn't put their credit card information online, and that was a huge fear factor, back in the day. And then the reality is very few people produced information, but it was consumed by many. So you had people who were creating information portals, if you will, and then but very few of them, and then a lot of people were consuming content in that way. So it's very interesting what Web 1.0, and there's actually a 0.5 version of the web as well. But I want to ask another question. Seriously, when was the last time you went to the library to get information? Now, I know that, a lot of people still go to the library because they want a physical book, right? Or it's nostalgia, kind of thing. I haven't been in a library. I can't even tell you when I was in a library, frankly. I know that may sound terrible, but no, we don't, remember like when we used to have a set of encyclopedias and, we'd have to do a research paper and we'd go to the encyclopedias. Now, where do we go for information? And we have this saying around here. We call it, hang on just a sec. Let me go back the regular way. We call it GTS. So it's the Google machine today. So my question to y'all is, should we create this t-shirt? So we just usually say GTS around here. But Kim is saying it's been a long time since she's been to the library. Yeah, I'm just seriously, when was the last time you went to the library? The reality is we're finding our information online these days. Now, there is a problem with that, because a lot of times we assume when we Google that stuff that that information is factual, and it's not always factual. So, being able to, hunt and peck is still a problem, right? Which is why I think Web 3.0 is going to be more impactful for us. So okay, so we've got one person, one vote that says we should make this T-shirt. Can I get some more votes? I mean, let me ask this question. Would you wear this T-shirt? So I once heard someone say this, that they're a business coach, and they were shifting who they wanted to work with. They wanted to work with people that were at a higher level, because they got tired of answering the silly questions, the beginner questions. And it kind of goes back to that. That's on Google. You can go find that information quickly, right? So, Allison, loves to go to the library. I think that, like I say, there's still that feeling of going to the library, having all those books around you. The smell of a library is amazing. But anyway, okay. So moving on here. Oh, golly, I'm using Canva today, and you really have to go forward. The buttons, the backwards and forwards buttons, are a little sensitive. But anyway, so basically Web 1.0 was for viewing and linking. So that, if you had to sum it up, that would be how I would sum up Web 1.0. Now, remember that we're building on Web 1.0. If we didn't have Web 1.0, we wouldn't have what we have today. So let's talk about Web 2.0. And that's where the exchange of information started to get more interactive. You had social media entered the space, and life shifted for so many of us. So, and that's basically the time frame for the, interactive interactive web, or Web 2.0, was 2000 to 2010. And here's some of the, again, this is more of a making content production available to everyone, essentially. So you had more user-generated content platforms, more blogs, social media, Wikipedia. Search engines had to become smarter, and they replaced link directories. And I think the evolution of search engines is continuing at a very rapid rate today. You've got voice integration now, so many things, but that's more of the 3.0, I think. But the point is that many users produced content and consumed content. So it started to become a two-way street versus just a, find information. There was more people creating content, more people consuming content. So it has continued to evolve, essentially. So 2.0 is all about participation, and the user determines the outcome. So it was a user-based experience. Let's talk about, which is really why we're here. And I wanted to lay the groundwork for where we are and potentially where we're going to, because this is powerful. And if you're just starting a blog, it does not mean that you're behind. Okay. So I want you to understand this. Even though, like I said before, there's a lot of things that have happened, a lot of building blocks that have been put into place. And if you're just starting social media, it doesn't mean that you are behind. It just means that that all of this stuff that came before, wherever you are now, is ready for you. It is there. It has been made easier through the technology and the end users that have ultimately built out the road for you, before you, if that's the best way to say it. So Web 3.0, Web 4.0, Web 5.0, some places are already talking about Web 5.0, is, I think, where we are. And the reason I think there is elements of 4.0 that are already out there that people are working towards and talking about, but I think Web 3.0, most people have not adopted the components of Web 3.0 in their businesses yet. Now, I will say not all things, but some things. So Essentially, it's where machine learning comes into the equation. And you may think machine learning, well, yeah, that's not relevant to my business at all. Hang in there with me because I'm going to make it more relevant, more real. Uh, Explain it perhaps in a way that makes sense in the connotation of where you and your business are. So let's talk about this. And when you break it down, you're like, oh yeah, I get that now. So what if computers can understand the meaning behind information? Can that happen? What if they can learn what we are interested in? Is that possible? Yeah, and is it happening now? Yes, it is. Then we can help them find what they want. It can recognize people, place, events, companies, product, movies. It can help us understand the relationship between things. So I know that still is probably a little fuzzy if you're not quite sure what this whole machine learning thing is, but there's some things that you are already familiar with. Hey Siri, right? Okay, I'm just making sure my phone is not going to react to that. Google Cloud has a whole API process that is, in the way that it matters to us, is all about the customer experience, customer conversations, personalization of customer engagements, things of that nature. You have Jasper, which is a new, well, it's not new, used to be, oh, shoot, forgot what it was called before. Another J word. Anyway, there's a whole process that with Jasper that basically allows you use an AI to write blog posts, social media posts, all kinds of interesting things. So very, very interesting process on how you can leverage. Well, things are already here. My point is that this whole AI stuff is here. How can you use it in your business would be the better way of saying it. Okay, so um, ah, get back. So I'm going to sum it up. Now, this isn't, I found this graphic online and it does a pretty good job of, talking about the process. I love the way it talks about the crawl, walk, run process in the context of building blocks. But I feel like there's some missing components here. So let's break this down just a little bit more. And again, in a way that matters to us. So please lean in and let me tell you about this, okay? In the context of, does this matter to you? So mobile, let's talk mobile right now, real quick. And you may think, well, why in the world is this important? Like mobile's been around forever. So why are you talking about mobile right now? Well, Web 4.0 supposedly, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Web 4.0 is supposed to be the mobile era, right? So Web 4.0 is where the whole evolution of the internet is going to connect devices in the real and virtual world in real time. Now, I don't want to give examples of that yet because I feel like that's not my point here. Because the point I'm trying to make here is that mobile is where things are right now. Right now, people are using mobile devices right now. 4.0 is where things start to get really interesting. But so many people are not yet in the mobile space. So in 2010, smartphones started to outsell PCs. And that has just continued to evolve. And that's an interesting dynamic. All right, we have somebody spamming the feed. So sorry about that, you guys. I'll try to handle that. Okay. So again, mobile devices are outstripping the sales of I hate when that thing goes backwards. Now I want to ask you a really important question. It's kind of a fun question. Can you tell me or name 3 people that you know that doesn't own a mobile device? Can you name 3 people? I'm like, even my 97-year-old dad has a smartphone. Now, does he use it very effectively or very well? No, but the point is he has one. I can't I can't I can't even begin to name 3 people who doesn't have a smartphone. And more importantly, how many people do you know that has a smartphone that doesn't have it like right beside them? Like my phone is right beside me almost all of the time. I love this. So Vicky actually knows 3 people that doesn't have a smartphone. Vicky, you may be the only person I know that knows somebody that doesn't have 3 people that doesn't have a smartphone. Um, Chuck is saying, I don't know anyone who doesn't own a smartphone. Kim is saying the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to come by people who don't have a smartphone. This is the point I'm trying to make. Well, there's a bigger point, but hang in there with me. The reality is that people are using their phone to consume content. So those of us who have courses, for example, we have to make sure that people can consume that content on a mobile device because guess what? They most likely are. People look at ads, aka video. Video is so powerful right now. They shop, they listen to music and podcast. They're on social media using their smartphones. They accept payments, apps, and yes, QR codes. I really feel like QR codes came back like with a vengeance, or maybe with riding the horse with the flag or something in COVID times, because people were starting to use QR codes for menus and, to direct people to a specific site. But QR codes absolutely are huge. Absolutely. But this is the point I want to make. There are many websites that are still not mobile friendly. In fact, what percentage of small business websites are not mobile optimized? I want you to guess. What is your guess? Is it 25% of small business owners who have not optimized their website? Is it 50%? Is it 91%? What's your guess? So I just laid the groundwork for the fact that mobile is so powerful. People are consuming content. They're obviously using so many, consuming content, buying things, all the things, lots of things when it comes to the internet space on a mobile device. So we've got lots of guesses. Vicky's saying B, Kim is saying B, Melanie is saying A, Christina is saying A. Chuck is saying B, Christina. All right, nobody so far has guessed this. It's 91%. That is a stunning number. 91% of small business owners still have not totally optimized their website. Does that stun anybody? So fess up, is your website mobile friendly? Now, I think there's a distinction here between a small business owner and an online business owner. A lot of online business owners have optimized for mobile friendly, optimized their websites, and they are mobile friendly. But brick and mortar businesses, no. It is stunning how many businesses have not optimized for mobile. So Christine says it, stunned, right? It is a scary, scary stat for sure. So what percent of traffic comes from mobile devices? So let's talk about this real quick. So what's your guess? If you were, and you may know because you may think, well, I look at my stats, my numbers, and I know that, 50% of my traffic comes to me through mobile devices. Or, maybe if your demographic is older, you might have somebody, that's more computer PC based. But overall, where is the majority of web traffic coming from? So Chuck is saying C, Christina saying C, Vicky saying C. Okay, y'all got it. So most people understand that web traffic, most of web traffic is coming from a mobile device. But this is ultimately why this is important. I want you to look at all the other places mobile traffic is impacting us as business owners. 80% of internet users use mobile devices to surf the web. Okay. So you got to assume that the majority of your people, your buyers, are surfing using a mobile device. 83% of mobile users expect a flawless experience. So if I go, and I'll just say this, and I would love your take on this. If I'm on my mobile device and I go to a website that is not mobile friendly, I growl. I mean, seriously, I'm like, seriously, they're not mobile optimized yet? What the daylights? And then 95% of active Facebook traffic comes from mobile devices. Wow, right? Is that not stunning? So if you're doing a lot of business on Facebook, you have got to assume that 95% of your people are watching or seeing your content from a mobile device. So that means that our imagery, all that stuff needs to be optimized for a smaller window. And I think that's a big problem I see a lot. 57% of LinkedIn traffic comes from mobile. Mobile devices are responsible for more than 70% of watch time happening on YouTube. Wow, right? 98% of Twitter views happen on mobile. Google is responsible for 96% of search traffic coming from mobile devices. 80% of Alexa's top ranked websites are mobile friendly. So I know that you may think, well, that's been here for a while, but there is so much opportunity to make sure that we understand this. Our people are on a mobile device. So again, is your website mobile friendly? Now, we're going to switch gears a little bit. And we're going to talk about AI. So AI, I touched on it a minute ago a little bit. AI is artificial intelligence, but I wanted to dig into it a little bit more because it is absolutely Web 3.0. You remember when Terminator first came out, you saw, you could see through the eyes of the computer, the dude, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you could see all these possibilities, right? And this computerized kind of thing. And you thought, well, that would never happen in real life, but it's here. It's this whole space where, AI is absolutely real. It is happening now. We spoke about the metaverse last week with my friend, Mitch. I mentioned that a moment ago, but let's take a look at how people are using it. Personalization, enhancing that customer experience. So let me give you an example of that. Maybe you could be making product recommendations based on shopping history or past interests. We're seeing that everywhere. You can go to, I don't know, any website probably, and you can see, other recommendations, right? Based on, and sometimes I call it false, meaning they've picked out things that they might want you to purchase. But in some cases, they've integrated AI on their websites, the more streamlined, more advanced websites. And so they're recommending things to us based on things that we've bought or things that we've looked at previously. We're seeing that pretty much I won't say everywhere, but a lot of places. And it's not that difficult for us as business owners to do the same thing. That's what's fascinating to me about Web 3.0 is things that have traditionally been accessible only to the big brands are now also accessible to us as the small business owner at a price point that is either free or doable, cost-wise. Customer service is super big right now, and I think it's what sets us apart. But the purchasing journey can now be motivated largely by or is largely motivated by online research and contactless options. That's why it's so powerful. Video is so powerful because so many people make buying decisions based on a video they saw. But in order to facilitate this, chatbots are a great way to give a custom experience to our person through customer service. Virtual guides. I think this is going to be a huge opportunity for us as small business owners because people want information and they want their information to be customized to their situations, but they may not yet be ready to talk to someone or make a buying decision because they again want that journey. They want to pick their path. They want to consume the content. They want to ask questions, and then they want their questions answered based on what their question was. We're already seeing this in a lot of these chat bots down in the corner of websites, right? Where you ask your question and up pops a response. That's a little rudimentary still, but it's a part of the process of the building blocks that's going to take us to a more uh, uh, automated process, I guess, maybe. But virtual guides, I think, are going to be super huge. I think chatbots can be used very effectively for this as well. So there's so much possibility in the AI space. But I talked about Jasper before, and I wanted to touch on it again because this is something that is real. It's understandable for each and every one of us. But Jasper is an AI driven machine platform, whatever word you want to say, but it helps you create, blog content that ranks for SEO. It helps you, speed up your writing process. It can help you write your ads. It can end your writer's block. It can do a lot of cool things that, again, things that we are doing in our businesses each and every day. And it is, again, an AI platform. All right. So shifting directions again is the metaverse. Now, if you did not watch my interview with Mitch last week, please go back and watch that because it was so eye-opening. And yes, I did purchase my first set of goggles. I got an Oculus 2.0, and I'm excited to start playing with that and integrating it into my business. So metaverse is, what is it? I'm going to sum it back up for you, for those that might not have caught last week's show. It's a virtual space where you can access with a look like you avatar. So you can actually show up and look like you in the virtual space. And in it, you can play or interact with other people or avatars. You can access this space through your computer screen, a cell phone, or like the virtual reality glasses. And what is fascinating about this whole space is there's so many applications, I think, for us as business owners. But like I said, you don't have to have the fancy glasses. You can do this, you can use this and pull in other people into the space using computer screens, cell phones, which lowers the barrier to entry, is my point. Which again gives us the opportunity to really leverage this new space in some creative ways, because there's no reason. It really is just, getting people to say yes to a new experience, essentially. So opportunity knocking. Let me show you or give you a couple of examples. A furniture, if you own a furniture store, and again, this could be any kind of store, technically, but it allows, if you have a storeverse, that's the best way to say it. People can visualize what the space would look like, so they can put their furniture in, their living room furniture, rearrange it, and stand in that living room and look around, and have a real life experience, which is super, super powerful. Glasses, like me, I obviously wear glasses, but how many pairs of glasses have I purchased over the years that I would get them and they didn't look super awesome? So let me show you. Hang on. So I bought these glasses. Hopefully you guys can see. All right. So I'm like, oh no, school marmy. So, right. If I had been able to try those glasses on in in a virtual space before I ordered them and paid for them, I would have realized in a hot second, just like when I tried them on, that they weren't for me, right? Makeup, getting a virtual makeover to see what you like before buying the physical products, clothing, shoes. So these are all obviously, brick and mortar style or product-based examples. But let me give you, this is kind of an interesting, and this is still a product-based example, but I wanted to tie the money to this strategy. Dimension Studio made $6.5 million in revenue as a result of their experimentation with the metaverse. So they created a metaverse where they had production, a place where people could come that allows a user to step onto a platform, be scanned by 106 cameras, and dropped into a virtual world to test out their garments and other items. Now, isn't that super cool? Right? Super cool. And it ties down the money. Now, the average business owner is not going to be able to afford to create a metaverse that has 106 cameras, right? More than likely. But you get the point, is that when you can create a real world environment, and a lot of these tools today have already built out um, uh, uh, store verses. I'm going to use that word. Maybe I need to trademark that, store verses, if somebody else hasn't. That's such a great term. Um, but there's huge opportunity, is my point. But what about our business? How are we going to be creative? How are we going to tie this whole metaverse into our business? How is it going to matter to us? Well, I'm going to give you a quick example. And I think that for a lot of us that are online business owners that are teaching something, they're training something, or showing up in a way that we, as knowledge, where we have a knowledge base that we're sharing, um, then there's an edutainment value here. So for me, my role, my goal going forward is to take this whole metaverse into my online courses, because I feel like there's so many people. The online course space is broke in its current configuration, in my humble opinion. I think that it's kind of run its course. We need to start shifting how we show up in and sell our knowledge. And so my hope is, as I learn more about this, that I show up in with a unique value proposition and some edutainment, where I can really affect the real transformation that I'm looking for my client, my buyers, essentially. So that's an opportunity. I think it's a huge opportunity for all of us going forward. The reality is there's so many opportunities right now. It's a creative. I think the thing that you have to approach when it comes to these opportunities is, how can you creatively show up? Because it's so wide open right now. The next, again, shifting directions again, because a lot of people are tying what's happening in the metaverse to NFTs. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about how that is being integrated in just a second. But I wanted to explain what in the daylights is an NFT anyway. Anybody know? Like, have you heard the term? Let me ask that first. Have you heard the term? What is an NFT? Or again, do you know? I mean, like, that's one of the biggest questions I guess I could ask anybody is, do you even know? Have you heard about it? Do you know what it is? Do you want to know what it is? I guess all the questions, right? But an NFT, and I don't know who named this, but it's the most gosh awful name I've ever heard about, is non-fungible token. So when I see the term fungible, I'm just like, fungus? Like, it's just one of those things. I'm like, yeah, somebody didn't think this through. But anyway, I didn't Google that to see who actually came up with the term non-fungible token, but that's what it means. And what is it? So what does it in the context of, it being an acronym? We broke that down. We know what it is again. It's a one-of-a-kind digital asset that belongs to you and you only. Okay. So when somebody says they have a non-fungible, an NFT, it's something that was created, a digital asset that was created just for them, or they created it just for themselves. So let's break down this a little bit more. The most popular NFTs right now are things like artwork. Makes sense, right? Music. So if I'm an artist, I can put my convert. That's the word I'm looking for. Convert my art to a digital copy, if you will, and then I can sell that. If I'm a musician, I could take my music and I can bypass all the hands that are traditionally in the pot. So, if you're a musician, usually you have the record label, you have, all the people that are taking a bite off of your sales, right? But now, as a musician, or an artist, I can put my things, create my content as a digital asset, and I can sell directly to the end user. All right. Even from the artwork is the same exact thing. So no more having to have a gallery, for example. You can sell your artwork directly to the end user using NFTs. But they can also be things like event tickets, coupons, certificates, videos, and yes, even tweets. What? So let me give you an example. So I want you to take a look at this. This is Jack Dorsey, who until recently was, I think, the CEO. I think that was his title at Twitter. CEO over Twitter. His first tweet was just setting up my Twitter. Okay, so TWTTR. I'm sure he intentionally misspelled it as kind of a spoof when he first got started with Twitter. Now you'll take a look at this. You'll notice it was literally just a tweet. It was March 21st, 2006. Somebody created an NFT out of this and sold it initially, probably for I don't know how much, but it raised or a multitude of people purchased it. Who knows? I don't know the numbers, the breakdown, but it ultimately created about $3 million in sales. That money was converted to Bitcoin and donated to a charity organization. But what the what? Like, seriously? Like, when I first saw this story, I was like, okay, are people just silly or just what? Like, seriously? I'm not sure. My first thought was, again, looking at this through the lens of who would buy this? Who would buy this? Evidently, a lot of people. $3 million in sales. Here's another example. Gucci recently did this campaign where they created a metaverse experience. So this is how the metaverse ties in. They created a metaverse experience. It was a 2-week experience where people could come in and experience the new things that they were rolling out. And every day they would have something new. And throughout the course of this 2 weeks, they were dropping opportunities for people to purchase a digital asset, digital Gucci bag, essentially, inside of that metaverse experience. And people were buying it. And ultimately, towards the end of the 2 weeks, the price started to raise, and people started to sell their digital, the ones that they had purchased for, who knows, maybe they had purchased it for $100 on day one, and by the end of the 2 weeks, everybody in that was participating in that digital experience wanted the digital Gucci bag, and somebody actually paid $4,000 for the Gucci bag, the digital Gucci bag. Did you hear me? The digital Gucci bag. So these are like mind-blowing things. I'm like, again, why would someone do this? I just think it's a very fascinating space. And for us as business owners, I shared these examples because they're kind of like, seriously, people are spending money on these things. Yes, so many crazy experiences. So my question to you is this: do these stories shock you? A, heck to the yes, or B, nah, people are cray cray. So Christine is saying, really stunned now. So many crazy purchases are going to be made during the Wild West days of Metaverse. Yes, Nancy just nailed it. So there is so many crazy things happening right now when it comes to NFTs, and there's opportunity. You may think, well, that's crazy, Kim. Like, that's why in the world would people do that? And why does this matter to my business? And how can I integrate it into my business? So I have a couple of NFT ideas for SMEs, small business owners. You could use this in a promotional way. You could do buy one, get one deals, QR codes, tickets. So my many of you guys know Gary Vaynerchuk or know of him. And Gary came out, this is a fairly common story now. When I heard the story, I'm going to relay the story as I heard it. I'm sure the story has expanded, the dollar amount has expanded since I was told the story. But the story is that he created an NFT digital ticket for an event that he was going to hold. And he sold it on the front side for a fairly low price. I don't even know the price, but a fairly low price. A bunch of people purchased it until he was all sold out. And then people in the contract that he had on the blockchain, which is a whole other conversation, that's where your NFT is housed. So when someone purchases it, the contract stated that 5% of the resale price he would get as profit. So people started reselling this ticket, this NFT, on the blockchain, and he's made millions of dollars just on the resale of it. You know, it's just a fascinating space. You could also do like customer loyalty programs. You could create an NFT loyalty card so that when people came in, they could show just like a QR code. If you have a physical business, or even you can also use this as from an online business perspective, where people, upload their NFT loyalty card and then they get a percentage off, for example. So there's lots of clever ways that you could leverage NFTs. Sweepstakes or gamification. And this is probably my favorite, because I feel like that we need to start showing up in ways that are different than what everybody else is doing. But like, I'll give you a quick example, and hopefully Chuck is still listening, because I know he works a lot with Chamber of Commerce's, but a Chamber of Commerce could launch a digital NFT scavenger hunt. Technically anybody could. I'm just using that as an example, but involving dozens of locally owned businesses to drive customer traffic to each location. Would that be like fabulous? You could do this online too. Like, you could have and this would be a fun, different thing if you do virtual events. You could do some sort of a gamification where you had to go to multiple websites, maybe all of the speaker websites, for example, to get something specific from them. Lots of cool ways that you could leverage this. And I really feel like that since this is such a wide open, Wild West, to go back to, I think, who was it that referred to this as the Wild West? But it is the Wild West right now. It is such a clever way of showing up uniquely. And it's really only limited by our imagination. The possibilities are literally just through the roof right now. How does this matter to you? I think it matters in the context of it's here. It's a unique way of entering into this whole new and interactive space that we are finding ourselves in. And I feel like if we don't, we're going to be the stale oldies, and all the people who are showing up uniquely are going to grab our business and our customers ultimately. So let's stay a step ahead of the competition is my motto, right? So last but certainly not least, I wanted to touch on crypto, because I think crypto is a conversation that everybody is talking about these days. You see it all over the news. But again, does it matter to us as business owners? So what is it first? Let's talk about that. It's a digital payment system that doesn't rely on our traditional banks to verify the transactions. So it's a peer-to-peer system that can enable anyone, anywhere to send and receive payments. And this is the part that's fascinating, not only to me, but yes, to our banking system. So our banking systems, y'all, our banks, the ones that we are going to right now, are absolutely investing or building the infrastructure for blockchain within their current infrastructure, because it is nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. It is going to be, it's not just because it's here and everybody's talking about it. It is going to be the future of how we ultimately pay. Now, it may not be crypto. It could be, there's crypto, Bitcoin is, and that's why I just labeled it cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, everybody talks about Bitcoin, but there's like multiple payment forms underneath cryptocurrency. But again, future talking here, we definitely need to be at least at a semi level of awareness on what this means. And then does it matter? How does it matter? Let's talk about that real quick. So obviously cryptocurrency has more than tripled, primarily because everybody's talking about it as an investment, right? Where, you need to be investing in Bitcoin, or, all the conversations you're probably seeing all over the news everywhere. It's literally everywhere right now. In fact, I just ask this question real quick. Has anybody invested in crypto? Like, have you? I have not. So I will tell a quick story. Well, let me back up. I did invest in crypto, but it was like literally in the very early days. A friend recommended this particular company to me. I invested, I want to say $6,000 or something. And it ended up that the company had some compliance issues or something with SEC. They didn't have all their ducks in a row at the time. And they ended up giving my money back. So I lost no money, but at the same time, I was like, I didn't gain any. So I'm seeing some have, some haven't. Yeah, so I have, but I haven't. So that's my story. So the advantages. It's cheaper and faster money transfers. So right now, I don't know about you guys, but definitely if we're online business owners, I've encountered numerous issues over the years, usually in the context of doing international business. There's always something happening that doesn't want to make it work as easy as it should, right? But essentially, it's a decentralized system that they don't collapse at a single point of failure like our traditional ones do. Like, for example, if somebody is in the UK and they want to pay me, the payment options, you have to go through certain types of payments or a certain path to be able to make the payment. In this case, that's not going to be an issue. So it's going to be more universal. I think that's going to be a very powerful thing. For us as merchants, though, this is interesting. Crypto is attractive because it's generally non-refundable, meaning there are no chargebacks, which produces a lower cost outlay for us, lower fees than credit cards, which can be meaningful for us as small business owners. So I have yet to have anybody pay me using cryptocurrency, but my friend Molly she had somebody pay for her high-end mastermind, which was like, I want to say $25,000, and they paid in Bitcoin. So yes, it is here. People are actually leveraging Bitcoin to make payments for things in the online space, or I'll say in our space, because, us as online businesses, obviously outside of our bubble, the whole Bitcoin thing is a big deal. And there's a lot of people who are paying leverage in Bitcoin. But until Molly told me somebody had paid her in Bitcoin, I was like, seriously? Like, it just didn't, it didn't really click that it is here. There's definitely people willing to pay in Bitcoin. So that is basically the things that I wanted you guys to understand where 3.0 is, and knowing that all of the things that I just talked about as a part of 3.0 are already edging into 4.0, but so many of us haven't embraced 3.0 yet. So when I say edging into 4.0, the reason that I think the edging into 4.0 is so powerful, and I talked about it briefly, is because of the mobile component. And mobile being Web 4.0, where that interactive experience is going to be translated into from the metaverse, the cryptocurrency, the NFTs, all of these things that are like seem surreal right now, a little bit to those of us who haven't embraced them, are going to happen whether we are there or not. Okay. So I love this. So Christine just made a very, and I didn't even talk about, there's so many side conversations that we could have around this, but a crypto wallet. So Christine is just saying she has a debit card that pays from her crypto wallet. That's a whole other thing. These are things that, again, we need to understand at least at a minimum, the terminology so that we can have conversations around these things and decide if they're relevant to us or not. But I think many of these things are relevant to us, and we need to start positioning ourselves in unique ways around some of these things so that we show up. I hate to say, what's the word I'm looking for? I think, well, let me express the backside to it, the outcome of it. I don't want to say hip. Hip sounds so like, we want to be in the hip, we want to be hip because we want to be in the now. Maybe that's it. We want to be in the now. But I think if we don't, show up in some unique ways, that we're going to be outpaced by our competition. That is the bottom line. So I want to announce our giveaways. Congrats to Gail for winning the Possibility Maker mug. So, Gail, if you'll go over to kimgross.com/winner, and we will get you hooked up. Okay. I think I saw the other one. Let me see. We have the second, the Possibility Maker tee. Della, you are the winner. So again, go to kimgross.com/winner, and we will get that ordered and out to you. Oh, good. That's the word I'm looking for, Sam. So Sam is saying proactive. Yes, we need to get proactive, get smarter on some of this stuff, figure out what our creative slant is, and step up. Yes, 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 yes. Say yes. Vicky says it too. She's a great way of saying it. Show up as relevant. All right. So did I like talk about this on average people's terms? Because that was my goal. I hope I didn't get too nerdy wordy. My goal was not to like nerd out on you, but try to explain it in ways not only that we can understand, but also see if it matters to us. And like I say, I think there is some components that definitely do matter. But at the end of the day, you have to decide that. It's like, are there people still doing business in Web 1.10 style? Mm-hmm. Yes, there are. They've got a static web page and they've got a payment processor, and that's it. Are they optimized for mobile? No, but yeah, they're still there. Are there people still in 2.0? I would say the majority are still in 2.0. And that's why, and some still aren't doing the things that are going to really matter to them going forward. So we need to understand what those things are, so that we can either fix them and put the best next step forward. Excellent. So, thank you. So yes, so those, I really appreciate this because I've been so self-conscious about my, those of you who know, I'm getting my teeth done. These are still my fakers. So I got new fakers just the other day, but hopefully within the next month, I'll get my real ones and we'll have the final look. We'll see what that's going to look like, but I think we're pretty close. We're getting there. Della, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was my hope that I would really just dumb it down to a way that the average person can understand it. And, when I was doing the research on this, I'm like, okay, I read that sentence 3 times. Have you ever done that? Like, you go to this blog post and it's super scientific and you're like, what does this sentence say? I didn't want that to be what this was about, what this was. All right. All right, guys and gals. Well, as always, I'm so appreciative of your time. Anytime you spend with me, I'm so honored. I hope you got some value out of today's training, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. I'm trying to think who our special guest is next week. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll more than likely, we do have a special guest next week. Can't think who it is, but it'll be somebody amazing because I do try to bring the best, amazing folks I can to you guys. Stay safe. God bless.